The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in
You
listen-only
have to
mode.
click share your screen. Okay, welcome to the CIECAst. This is Fred Iantorno, Executive Director of CIECA. In today's CIECAst, Jeff will be sharing real-life examples on where companies are focusing AI solutions in auto claims, and then follow it up with how it is impacting claims organization now and into the future. Jeff Saye is Genpact's global claims service line leader. In that role, Jeff is responsible for Genpact's overall claims strategy as it relates to end-to-end claim services, analytics, digital solutions, and consulting. Jeff has over 25 years of claims experience, including frontline adjusting, managing large-scale claims operations, leading teams of claims transformation experts, and creating new solutions for the claims industry. He is currently engaged in leading-edge initiatives to automate and eliminate much of the claims process through the use of intelligent automation supported by advanced analytics and machine learning. During today's webinar, if you have any questions, please type your questions in the webinar navigation pane. We will answer as many as possible at the end of the presentation. I want to thank everyone for spending your time with us today, and to Jeff for sharing his insight and expertise with us. I will now turn this over to our presenter, Jeff Saye. Jeff?
Great, thank you, Fred. But before you go, I just want to make sure that you can see the screen here, that I'm demystifying AI in claims.
I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll take off from there. So, hi everybody, thanks for joining, and very, very excited about this because over the last few months we've seen these very interesting topics come up in these in the webinars, and when I was asked what we would like to share, one of the things that we continue to hear in the industry is really where artificial intelligence is going, and what does it mean to claims. And then, as we go deeper into that, it's not, where are we applying, the artificial intelligence in the claims process, but really, what is it going to do to my claims organization? And that's really kind of some of the things that we're going to talk about today. I mean, when people think about the future and the future of claims, you go to a couple of different extremes. One extreme is to see a picture of a big room with one robot in the corner that's supposed to be your claims organization driving all of the efficiencies there. But I don't think that that's really where we're headed. So today we'll talk about some very practical applications of artificial intelligence. Where insurance companies are actually pointing their investment dollars and some of the problems that they're trying to solve, and then ultimately where that goes into into our claims organization. So just by way of level setting, before we get started, I want to go ahead and make sure that everyone understands that I'm not the data scientist, right? I'm not the guy that's building out these tools to put into action into the industry. But I have had enough conversations with industry executives around what their thinking is from an artificial intelligence standpoint. And really helping them to understand, okay, what solutions can we look at right now that AI can solve, and then how do we take that and make those investments and create a foundation for what we're going to see in the future. So think about artificial intelligence, implementation as building blocks to get to a point in time where we'll have these large scale deployments. So let's why don't we kind of jump into it from there, and you guys send in your questions as we go through, and we'll kind of cover those towards the end. So, all right. So, from an artificial intelligence standpoint, we really see it as very foundational, right? We moved from seeing it as, insurance companies looking at it as the next digital wave, something that we're going to embrace in the future. But, they're looking at it and saying, okay, the future is now, and we're really gaining traction and adoption across claims organizations. 81% of insurance companies right now spend more than $5 million a year in artificial intelligence, right? So they're investing over $5 million a year on really where artificial intelligence can take their industry and their company. And one of the things that we know about artificial intelligence is that it craves data, right? And who has more data than the insurance industry, right? So insurance companies are just sitting on piles and piles of data. And if you think about it, it's not just in claims, right? So we know and have data on policyholders before they buy our policies, right? When they buy them, how they buy them, we know what they buy, we know how they want to communicate, and we know all of that, even before a claim is filed, right? And then we have their claim intake data. So we know the claim as it comes in. But not only that, we have all of their pre-buying data and buying data and all of our interactions, but we also have thousands and thousands and thousands of records of previous claims that actually fit the same attributes. Thousands of experiences from us to learn from and apply to this particular claim. So when we think about artificial intelligence and what is it doing, we're looking at how we can optimize the claims experience for the customer. So what are we doing there? But also optimizing the claim outcome. So are we paying the right amount on the claim, and also are we paying the operational cost correctly? So those are things that we're really trying to solve with these AI equations. So if you think about, just a second ago, we talked about all the data we have, and we put that into like a small use case. I mean, think about this guy here who's looking out over the city, right? He's got ideas about where he's going, what he's trying to do, but he's also got something on his mind. He was out there a couple of hours ago, and he had an accident on one of these roadways, right? He's an 8-year policyholder, so he just had an auto claim. It's not complex. It was on its own. It was a single car accident. That policyholder has 3 cars insured with a carrier. He has his home insured with the same carrier. He has a rental policy with the same carrier for his daughter who's off to college, right? And he's a really good driver. And he's only had one other loss over the last 5 years, and he's been with this company from for the past 8. So the data that we've collected over these 8 years, it tells us, look, he bought all of his policies by calling in. Whenever he wants to make a change to his policy, he picks up the phone and he dials into our 1-800 number, and he talks to our service reps. We even know that he reported his last loss by calling in and reporting his first notice of loss through the phone. And he used your direct repair program in the previous loss, and he gave it rave reviews, right? So he loved everything about the experience that he had before. So as an insurer, as an insurance company, right, wouldn't it be great to have all of that information, right at first notice of loss, right? And then let it help you make decisions on what we want to do when this new loss is called in, because we know he's going to call it in. That's how he engages with us. So in this case, we can use all that data, right? And artificial intelligence can actually help us create the best experience for this policyholder, right? Our triaging options can be tailored to his needs. The method of inspection can be tailored to his needs. And our communication with how we communicate with that policyholder can be tailored to his needs, right? And one of the things that we're really trying to drive as insurance companies is creating that customer experience where they feel valued, right? And that's really what we want to do, and think about how we can leverage data, right? So artificial intelligence is not looking to replace a person or take out a cost out of an organization, but it's how in the world can we use all the data that's at our fingertips to make this process go as smoothly as it possibly can for the guy that's standing there thinking about the accident that he just needs to report. So we think of artificial intelligence really as making the enterprise instinctive, right? It's going to help us understand the needs of our clients and put together a plan to take care of those clients in a very specific way, because not all clients are going to be the same. You can't make your decision based on the demographics, right? If that policyholder was 50 years old and he had a kid in college and he had 3 autos and he had a rental policy, that doesn't mean that every one of those people that meet those same demographics want to be treated the same. But we can create solutions that make them feel customized for that particular client. But it doesn't have to be customized in a way that's going to add cost to your overall organization and your service delivery. But at the end of the day, you have an extremely happy customer, and you've helped walk them through the claims process in a way that you reach the most optimal claims outcome. So one of the things that we know, and a lot of people on the line are working in the personal lines industry, is that, you know, personal lines is personal, especially to the person that's having the loss. And he knows that he's engaged with you, and you should know him in a particular way. And that's one of the things that artificial intelligence is, will allow us to do. So as we go through this, I want to show you some examples of exactly where we're seeing AI applied in the industry, right? And how companies are thinking about using it to make these types of decisions, and how they're using it to maybe take out some costs, but the cost isn't the focus. The decision and the output is the focus, and not necessarily the expense reduction. So if we take a look at, you know, one of the things that is really gaining traction in artificial intelligence is language, really, and it's really making sense of the written word, where the machine makes sense of the written word. And we started seeing this play out, you know, specifically in commercial line carriers. So commercial line carriers were getting information in, a lot of information at first notice of loss, that didn't come in a heavy voice channel. So they looked at it and they saw all this data coming in, and it was coming in through broker systems, agent systems that came in on Accord forms. And they said, okay, what can we do besides having somebody take this and key it into our system and then move it down the line? How can we actually, you know, take that information and understand it and then make decisions off of it? And that was where natural language processing and natural language understanding came into being. So they can take loads of data, reams of data, or just a first notice. They can ingest that into their AI system, you know, strip out the data, whether it's structured or unstructured, understand what it is, and then take that information and put it directly into their claims management system. Now, the interesting thing is, you know, that's not robotics. I mean, that's intelligent automation, where we're moving it into the claims management system. But because we understand the data, we can reach out into the policy management system, and we can make a decision and understand, okay, is the policy in effect? You know, is there coverage? You know, and as we do that, we can look at it and say, okay, it is. So now, after we've done that validation, let's triage the claim. Let's triage it to the best adjuster that can handle this loss. right? Based on the analysis that we've done, just on the intake, right? Let's look at the best supply chain partner. It could be a TPA, it could be an engineer, it could be somebody going out to take a look at it. And at the same time, let me flag it for fraud, for recovery opportunities, for litigation propensity. And so all of this is being done by the machine understanding and understanding the language, learning from it, and making decisions on it. And this is happening today. So this is not a futuristic use case. Well, the personal lines teams that didn't want to be outdone started looking at it and seeing the value that was delivered there. And so they started looking for opportunities where they could leverage the same type of technology and said, okay, we get in loads of packages, that have all sorts of documents in them, and somebody has to go through them, understand them, and then come up with a plan for them. So we have inbound demand packages, inbound, medical records, inbound subrogation. And so anything that has large amounts of data. And so they started saying, okay, how can we apply these same types of things? And we can. We can take, something like medical records that come in, we can order them, we can summarize them, we can actually, create a page that says this is what should be here, this is what shouldn't be here, and this is the plan that we should take on this particular loss. And like I said, these are things that are applicable today, that aren't futuristic, that we see customers, actually investing in, building out, implementing, and we're seeing really good use cases come out of those. So, as we talk about artificial intelligence, just think about what sort of unstructured data do you have coming in, who has to go through it, how much time is it taking them to go through it, and then what do you do with it and how do you make it actionable? And I think that the data piece and understanding the data is really what makes that example actionable. Now, vision. So this is the one that we get all excited about, right? This is the one that we think, okay, we see a lot of effort going here. Computer vision, using artificial intelligence, and the data that's in the photo to actually write a completed estimate, right? And I'll say that this is coming, right? I am 100% confident that there will come a day when the machine will write a complete appraisal based on the photos and the data, right? I mean, it has to. I mean, there's too much data out there. There are too many extremely smart people working on it for it not to work. So, there will come a day that happens, but I can say with confidence today is not that day, right? So it's not currently happening in a way that we've completely automated the estimating process. But the thing that is really interesting is that all the effort that's gone into this now, up until this point, is actually generating value that could be grabbed, right now. So, we can identify damage. We can determine the severity of the damage on the based on the photos. We can make total loss and repairable decisions. We can create shells of estimates, right, for an appraiser to go in, and it just automatically improves his productivity because the shell is already created. We can take that data that we learned from the photos and we can triage claims, to the most effective way to process that claim, and we can automate estimates, or we can audit estimates, not automate estimates. We can audit those estimates. So there's a lot of value there generated even without a completely automated estimate. So we can, eliminate and reduce, multiple toes in a claim. We can reduce cycle times. We can improve the appraiser productivity. We can improve the quality of the appraisals. So, I mean, this is a very exciting thing that's happening. This is something that, a lot of us believe in is just around the corner and is going to happen. But don't necessarily just look for the end state and not take advantage of what currently is available now to take advantage of to drive better outcomes in your in your claims organization. Right. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to the day where the policyholder is taking the photo at the time of the loss, and that photo automatically starts generating actions that are going to take place. I mean, whether it can go straight to the salvage yard or create its own FNOL and understand how much it's going to cost, or send it into a repair facility and have an agreed price right there. Those are things that we have an understanding is going to happen and is currently happening, and as fast as it's happening, I think the end state is going to happen faster than we can even believe it. So that's on the vision piece. So on the knowledge piece, so really, just augmenting decisions with predictive analytics, things that we've been really thinking about, right? And I'll tell you that we meet with claims executives all the time, but I mean, we met with one from a very large organization that said, look, I have an extremely lean claims organization, extremely lean. I mean, when you look at our expense line, we have a very competitive expense line on the claims side, even to a point where we see ourselves as leaders on the expense side. But he said, I just need something that's going to help my adjusters make right decisions, right? So he thinks he's optimized his staff. He knows that he's optimized his staff. He's not looking to reduce that anymore. But what he's looking at is providing a tool that can help his adjusters, right? And that was it. He goes, I want to help my adjusters, right? Not replace my adjusters, not have a tool that's going to make decisions for my adjusters, but I want to help them make the right decision on each one of these claims that they're working on. And we see more and more of this, particularly as the complexity curve of the claim goes up, right? So as data comes in, and you're looking at it and saying, okay, what do you want me to do with this claim? What should I do with this claim? How should I move this claim forward? This artificial intelligence will start helping augment the human effort here. So the human is still going to be central, to the claims process, and artificial intelligence is augmenting their ability to actually, make decisions and helping them make the right one. So how do we take the data from multiple sources, including your past claims data? How do we provide predictive insights into the outcome? And then how do we start making the right decisions on that, right? How do we know that if we treat a specific injury in a certain way, we're going to end up with a particular outcome? And it's something that just the data can help us understand and can help start guiding us into the decisions that we make when we start getting into our claims services. The last thing I'll talk about from a just from a AI perspective is the conversational piece. So we immediately think about chatbots when we go into this, and having a conversation or typing something out and getting answers and those types of things. I think one of the best examples is my wife loves Amazon customer service, right? But I'm convinced that she has never interacted with a human at Amazon ever. I think they're that good, and I think that's where the industry sees really good opportunity is how do we train the machine in a way to understand what the customer's asking us, understand the differences between multiple words like two and two, and make sure that it's making the right decision and providing the right answer. So, I mean, we're seeing in the world of policy servicing, we're seeing it in the world of claims queries, and this particular area in conversational AI is one of the fastest growing areas that we see in artificial intelligence, right? So, by next year, so, if we're 19, so by 2020, we'll see that AI will be a supported user experience for 50% of large consumer-centric enterprises. So half of the large consumer-centric enterprises are going to have conversational AI supporting customer interactions. And then by 2021, just a couple of years away, 15% of all customer service interactions will be completely handled by AI. Not one human intervention in that for 15% of the customer service interactions. I mean, that is fantastic, and to start thinking about, you know, how fast this is growing. You know, so those are just some examples of where we see AI, our artificial intelligence, and where it's permeating the claims industry, whether it's, you know, the natural language processing and understanding, whether it's the very exciting things that are happening in computer vision and automating the estimates. It could be the conversational AI here as well, and also the predictive insights are really changing the way that the industry is acting. All right. So as you think about artificial intelligence, as it impacts your organizations, as it impacts the organizations around you, you know, just think about it, is that, you know, it's a journey and not a destination. And that's why I started talking about how we go in and we talk to carriers about specifically what they're building, right? Not what they're building and what they're going to stop building, but what building blocks are they putting in place today that are going to become the foundation for the future of their organization, right? So as you think about that, don't get locked into a particular technology, something that's not going to be agile enough to integrate with other technologies, and always look outside for what's happening, right? Because there's things that are happening outside that you can bring inside, tie into what it is that you're currently doing, right? One of the things that I would caution against as well is when you think about artificial intelligence, don't just think about it as a cost, right? Don't think about it as an expense play where, okay, if I bring in AI here, I'm going to be able to take out this much of my expenses because I'm bringing that in. You'll eventually get there, but that's not the starting point, right? The starting point should be, okay, what problems am I trying to solve? How do I want to make my adjusters better? How do I want to make my the customer's experience better? But you'll eventually get to the cost savings as the machines continue to learn. But in the short term, don't just pigeonhole yourself into thinking of that. And then the last piece I would say from an AI perspective is you have to be able to understand how you're going to operationalize it, because it's going to have a really big impact on your operation and how your adjusters interact with your customers and how your customers expect your adjusters to interact with them. We can't just put a tool into the middle of a process and then expect all of the outcomes to be exactly the same, right? So it's not like, don't start off with building the tool and seeing if they'll come. What we want to do is start looking at, okay, what problems are we going to solve? How are we going to implement a tool? And then how does that impact and change my organization? And I think that a lot of times we get too caught up in the technology without really thinking pragmatically about how it's going to work in our own world. So those are some of the examples of artificial intelligence. So why don't we just jump into really, you know, what does that mean for my claims organization? Where are we going to have to move? I mean, am I going to have, you know, all my people, some of my people, none of my people, and what is it going to do to my processes? And then, you know, what is it going to do from a technology standpoint? So one of the great things about this is that we keep hearing in the industry that there's a talent shortage in claims, right? A lot of people are moving out, not so many people are moving in. Well, you know, this can actually start to augment that, right? We learn from the people today, and then we build tools around it. So if you look, I mean, it's really interesting that we're projecting growth in the industry, you know, through 2022. You know, because right now we need really smart people that are working on AI, not just from a technical perspective, but also from a claims perspective, right? The true value of these solutions is really found at the intersection of domain expertise, so the claims domain expertise, and the digital expertise. So when you combine the digital and the claims and operationalize it, that's where you start really seeing the value. So the fact that we see growth in the industry is not that shocking. Now, when you move it out, 10 years or so, that's when you really start seeing the impact on the claims organization from a reduction standpoint, because the tools are getting smarter, the machines are getting smarter, the customers want to interact in different ways, so they're getting smarter. And so you'll start seeing, people start coming out of the claims organization. And so that's really going to change how frontline managers are going to have to start dealing with the claims organization, right? I mean, you're going to have different skills. So now we start upskilling our people that are on the floor today that are going to be managers tomorrow. What do they know about analytics, right? What do they know about managing a remote workforce? And what do they know about talent management? So those are things that we need to start working with our staff on today, to start thinking about the impacts of these tools coming in. And then the future adjusters, I mean, they're really going to have to understand these new technologies and how they use them and how they collaborate with them. I saw one study that says, the future adjuster is going to be programming drones. I don't know how true that is, but maybe they're going to do it from their desk and send them off if we ever get through some of the compliance issues and regulatory issues on drone flights. So it's looking to the future to think, okay, what do I need my people to do? And understanding that there is going to be a need for adjusters in the new world, but the adjusters may have different roles when it comes to managing the customer, being a customer advocate, and those types of things. Then we move into the process perspective, right? So we know that carriers have looked to see how can we reduce cost, right? We look and say, okay, how can we reduce cost? But in the past, the cost reductions have always been about let's reduce cost and save those costs. Now we're starting to see how can we save cost and invest. And some carriers that have done a very, very good job of managing their expense line are actually able to invest right now and not wait for any more savings. And they're willing to invest because they see the value that these digital solutions are bringing them, right? And one of the reasons they want to do that is because they know that their customers want to interact with it. Their customers are getting more comfortable with modern technology, and they appreciate the computer generated system of insurance advice. They understand that they can go somewhere and interact with the machine and get what they need quickly, as opposed to having to pick up the phone. But they also like to know that when they pick up the phone, somebody's going to be there to answer it. So we talked about visual analytics and in the claim settlement process, and predictive analytics is really going to start deriving some of the decisions in the claims process from triaging and decision points there. And then we talked earlier about how insurance customers want a personalized experience from their insurance company, which is still extremely true. And carriers that have a broad range of customers that go across generations and demographics and those types of things, they understand that different people want to interact different ways, and let's give them opportunities to act that way. And the more we know about our customer up front from inception up until a claim happens, allows us to start managing that process for the claim in a way that we don't actually add more cost, but we provide an exceptional customer experience for that person. And then just a couple other things on technology, right? Claims leaders really believe in where artificial intelligence is taking us, right? They believe that machine learning is going to help us make better decisions. We're going to be able to identify fraud. We're going to be able to better identify subrogation recovery opportunities. Better triaging of the claim. What do we do on potential litigated claims? What's the severity analysis going to be? And then how can we actually, streamline our claims process, because of that? They do believe that there's an adjuster involved here, right? Again, they don't believe that artificial intelligence is going to completely eliminate the adjuster role. they believe in augmenting that experience for the adjuster and giving them the tools to actually help them do their jobs, better. And so those are things that we're actually seeing, and the technology is going to enable us to be able to do that. And so then I think one of the last points that I'll leave you with, right? I mean, is last two, right? So they believe that we're going to be able to handle a large number of these claims in a no-touch basis, right? They believe that the technology is going to be able to deliver it. It's there. We're starting to see it. We're seeing it in some very low complex lines, and that'll start moving up the complexity curve as well. But then we also look at the adoption rate and the benefits that insurers that are early adopters are seeing. When they adopt the digital technologies, they're seeing a reduction in their processing costs. They're seeing expense reductions. They're seeing better loss control and improved customer experiences. And one of the things that we realized early on is that artificial intelligence is not a place where you want to be like the next person that learns it, right? I mean, you want to be an early adopter. You don't want to be a fast follower. Because the early adopters are actually learning 2, 3, 4 times faster than the people that are coming behind them, and they're always ahead. So as you start thinking about your strategy around artificial intelligence, think about it in terms of, okay, eventually where do I want to get to? How do I want to build out the foundational building blocks? And then what sort of technologies am I bringing in, and how am I going to leverage the people to make sure that we operationalize it very effectively. So that's really, I'm going to leave it there. We've covered some of the use cases for where we see AI, and it was not exhaustive. So there's plenty of other use cases out there where you're seeing it on a day-to-day basis, and you're seeing articles that come out on artificial intelligence and claims. So we've covered those, and then we've covered a little bit about, what does it mean for my claims organization? There are going to be impacts. It's going to change the way that we work, but there are always going to be needs for claims employees and leaders in the new world of claims. So I will, happy Fred to open it up and take any questions that may have come in.
Yeah, I've got one question here, Jeff. Who do you think are the major players capturing value using computer vision estimating today?
Who do I think the major players are that are capturing the value or are actually developing?
Well, it says capturing the value. It's the question. So you can answer both. Answer both.
Yeah. So when I look at computer vision today, there's the estimatics providers that are doing a really good job of pushing the ball forward, right? I think that that's one answer, is that they've done a good job of pushing the ball forward, making us all believe that this is something that was possible, and they just sit on an absolute load of data right now, right? And so they have data that we all need to look at and have access to be able to move this forward. But there's other companies out there that have extremely strong data science teams that have gone through the effort to be able to build models and tag and label their photos to be able to identify the damage, right? The severity of the damage, make total loss decisions. So all of those pieces, add up to an extreme amount of value today, where we don't have to wait to get to the end state.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, thank you, Jeff. That was a great presentation. This concludes today's CIECAst. Please check out our lineup of CIECAst for 2019 by visiting the Events tab on the CIECA website. Also on that tab, you'll find the annual conference, which is Connects 2019. It will be held September 16th through the 18th in Charlottesville, Virginia. Please go to www.CIECAconnects.com. At this year's Connects, in addition to the informative sessions, there will be a tour of the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. And this is one of those you won't want to miss. Just last week, we were informed that they are going to do a crash test, so we'll get to see that plus plus the automated car track. If you're interested in AMI credit, please visit the AMI website and take the quiz for this this webinar. Don't forget to follow CIECA on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you for those that are keeping abreast of CIECA developments. Our standards are built by volunteers from all industry segments. For those of you that have contributed to our standards, we thank you. For those that have not been involved and would like to participate, please contact Charlie Quirt, Stacy Phillips, or myself. As always, the video of this presentation will be available on the CIECA website within 24 hours. Again, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, our audience, for participating. Everyone have a great day.